Welcome back. We will get back to our coverage of deliberations in Harvey Weinstein's rape trial in just a moment. But first, a grieving sister did not hold back her anger at the man accused of gunning down her family member in the middle of an intersection in broad daylight.
That was just a real weak man move to sit there and shoot a lady in front of her son.
Milwaukee County prosecutors say that a mother-son driving lesson turned deadly last summer when a car crash escalated into road rage. According to a criminal complaint, Tracy Smith and her 17-year-old son were out for a driving lesson when they were cut off by a driver in a gold van attempting to make a left-hand turn from the wrong lane. The cars collided. Both drivers stopped in the intersection. Tracy Smith, the mother, exited the vehicle to check the damage and exchanged words with the other driver. Now, the other driver, police later identified as Matthew Lee Wilkes. Smith's son told investigators he then heard Wilkes threaten his mother before pulling out a gun and firing a single shot. Wilkes then allegedly made a U-turn and drove away. The teenager loaded his mother into their car, drove her to the hospital where she died shortly thereafter. Tracy Smith was a longtime Milwaukee corrections officer. After the shooting, her sister struggled with how the minor fender bender escalated so quickly.
What was she supposed to do? Supposed to sit in the car and just hope that he fled the scene?
Not only did Smith's teenage son witness the shooting that ended his mother's life, he may also have to testify at trial. Now, his family worries about the toll this whole ordeal will take on him.
Just hope that he can bounce back. I'm just praying that he can bounce back, that he will stay on track and he won't allow something that will break most people to break him.
Jury selection in Wisconsin versus Wilkes starts today. Opening statements could start as early as this afternoon. We will bring you those here on Court TV Live. Now, joining me to discuss, we have criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer, and from our Court TV studio in New York City, trial attorney Marie Napoli. Thank you so much, Josh, for being with us. A horrible set of facts, a road rage. That's all it boils down to. Now, they have surveillance video, which is how they identified the vehicle, the license plate registered to the defendant in this case. Does that in and of itself mean to you that he must have been the shooter?
It's certainly going to aid the prosecution in establishing his presence at the scene. Eyewitness identification is a really common way that defense attorneys attack cases, and in this particular matter, that's going to be a struggle for them. When you've got these collaborative pieces of evidence, such as a registration and the picture, it's hard for a defendant to turn around and say, it wasn't me. You know, there's only 3 real strong defenses at law. It wasn't me, I didn't do it, and he needed killing. This takes away one of those in this matter.
Right. I agree with you. But, Marie, let me bring you in and ask you this. It's my understanding that the first detective, who interviewed the child, the 17-year-old son at the hospital, did it in the back of a police car, but also didn't record it. There was no body cam. Is that problematic and something that the defense can argue means it wasn't a reliable statement?
Well, they can argue whatever they want, but I think that the jury would see it for what it is. The child would have said exactly what he had seen presently at that time. It was very close in time. So if I was the prosecutor, I would say it'd be the most reliable because it was immediately after the incident occurred.
And then he also ID'd the defendant positively from a photo lineup. So does the fact that he's 17 affect the validity of him identifying a picture of the defendant in your mind?
17 is old enough. If you're looking at an 11-year-old or a 9-year-old, that's a different story. 17-year-old is almost legal, and in certain situations does have some legal standing. So I would not hang my hat as a defense attorney on the fact that he's 17. He saw it happen. He can testify to it happening, and I think this defendant's in a lot of trouble.
All right, Josh, what do you think we should expect out of the opening statements from the state and defense in terms of format and how they might present it?
Well, I think we're really going to see a strong theme come out of the defense. This isn't a case where they're going to splatter shot across the wall a bunch of different things, as much as I think set forth a really clear defense that they're going to try to carry. We don't know exactly what that defense is going to be. It's oftentimes said that the opening is the story of the case, and then the summation would be the story of the trial. So they're going to try to set out a specific set of facts that exonerate the defendant, or at least make it appear that he's not as responsible as the state's putting forward. Meanwhile, the state's going to come out really strong with a clear story about road rage and a shooting that happens in a very short period of time with strong identification. That's a 1, 2, 3 conviction for most prosecutors.
All right, and we are going to listen for the story of the case from both sides in opening statements. Now,